You know, babes, there is just, like, absolutely nothing quite like watching two complete strangers legally bind themselves to walking, talking, flashing neon red flags.
Oh, completely.
Right, like, it is the only thing that makes me feel like my own chaotic life is actually somewhat under control.
Honestly, same. My life might currently be like a towering inferno of unread emails and aggressive caffeine dependency,
Wow.
but at least I didn't legally marry a man who asks for a quote-unquote release while wearing a damp, sad, gray bath towel on national television.
Oh my God, the towel. We are getting to the towel.
We have to. So, frankly, we are thriving by comparison, bestie.
We really are. So, babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and honestly, watching strangers get married at first sight feels way less stressful than surviving a Monday.
1,000% less stressful.
Like surviving a Monday with sore legs from the gym, a full patient schedule, and, multivitamins we just keep forgetting to take.
Snark squad, raise your glasses right now. I've got my berry electrolyte mocktail on deck.
Oh, I see it. It looks so good.
Oh, it is. And I splashed it with a very generous, medically necessary pour of Prosecco tonight.
Yes, because balance is key, girl.
Exactly. Cheers to surviving Monday, and cheers to unpacking this absolute mess.
Cheers, babes.
Good.
Because let me tell you, Monday arrived with the unhinged, chaotic aggression of a reality TV producer.
Oh, totally. Like a producer who just found out the cast is getting along and decided to secretly replace all their coffee with decaf.
Yes, it was a hostile takeover of my piece. Like,
Oh.
we really need to talk about the absolute scam that is the Monday morning alarm.
The whole concept of the work week is built on a foundation of lies, honestly.
It really is.
Starting with that false optimism of Sunday night, you know exactly what I mean.
Oh, the Sunday night delusion.
Right, you're sitting on your couch at, like, 8 p.m., you've meal prepped exactly 3 pieces of broccoli and some sad quinoa.
So sad.
You've got your aesthetic planner out, and you tell yourself, I am going to conquer the world this week.
I am that highly productive, hydrated girl.
Exactly. And then, reality hits.
That first alarm on Monday morning literally ruins my entire personality.
Oh, it shatters it.
My central nervous system just goes into shock. I wake up, and I am immediately angry at the sun for having the audacity to rise.
How dare the sun?
Right. I am angry at the birds for their toxic positivity. And somehow, Mondays always manage to pack like 3 business days worth of absolute drama before noon.
It's a temporal anomaly. By 10:30 in the morning, I feel like I've lived 1,000 lifetimes and paid property taxes in 3 different centuries.
Seriously, the time dilation is real.
And let's not even get started on the gym, because this is where that Sunday night false optimism really, really betrays you.
Oh, the gym. Don't even.
You get up, you're utterly exhausted, but you put on the cute matching athletic set to trick your brain.
Yes.
Mhm.
The psychological trickery of the workout outfit is so real.
It works for about 5 minutes.
Right, like the motivation of snapping that sports bra into place is the absolute peak of the fitness journey.
Totally. You take the mirror selfie.
You sip your little pre-workout drink, you are feeling like a wellness goddess, and then you actually walk onto the gym floor.
And the illusion shatters.
Exactly 7 minutes into the actual workout, my soul just detaches from my physical body.
7 minutes. Bestie, that is a generous timeline.
I am actively negotiating with the universe just to survive a reverse lunge.
I am usually plotting my tactical retreat the second I smell the rubber mats, but, the insidious part is the soreness.
Oh my God, the delayed onset soreness.
It doesn't hit right away, does it? It lies in wait. It waits until you attempt to sit down on the toilet the following morning.
Yes.
And suddenly your quads just seize up, and you realize you are never, ever getting back up.
You live in that bathroom now. That is your new home.
That is my legal residence.
I just watch these fitness influencers on Instagram, and they are like smiling. They are showing teeth while doing Bulgarian split squats with 40-pound dumbbells.
Sociopaths. All of them.
Meanwhile, I am over in the corner sounding like a dying walrus, just wheezing, trying to negotiate with my own lungs.
Which brings us to a very crucial debate, babes. Because if we are going to subject ourselves to this physical torment, we need to look aesthetically pleasing while doing it.
Okay, yes, the eternal financially ruinous struggle.
Exactly. Lululemon versus Aloe.
Oh, this is a highly polarizing topic for the Snark Squad.
Mm.
Okay, let me break down my theory.
Please do.
Lululemon, to me, gives responsible athletic luxury. It communicates a very specific lifestyle.
Okay, I see where you're going.
It says, I have a robust 401k, I drink spinach smoothies, and I have never once been late on a credit card payment.
Wow. secure attachment style activewear.
Exactly. It's reliable. It compresses you in all the right places.
That is a brilliant categorization. But see, aloe gives completely unbothered, avoidant attachment, Los Angeles, hot girl in a matcha run energy.
Oh, totally. The matcha run energy is so strong.
Right. It says, I might not actually sweat today. In fact, I might just walk my very expensive French bulldog to a bespoke coffee shop
And order an $8 oat milk latte.
Exactly. But I look incredibly chic, slightly edgy, and completely unavailable while doing it.
I completely agree with the vibe check. But, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room
A
here.
price tag.
Both of these options cost approximately the same as a monthly payment on a small pre-owned sedan.
The markup is criminal.
I am standing at the register, swiping my card for a pair of leggings, and silently praying to the financial deities that it doesn't get declined.
It is wild. We are out here complaining about inflation while wearing $130 yoga pants.
Literally.
But honestly, babes, we are out here doing squats in leggings that have survived multiple economic downturns.
That fabric is a high-yield investment, girl. I'm putting my Align pants in my will.
As you should. Speaking of surviving treacherous environments, can we do a quick workday check-in?
We have to. Because practicing dentistry today tested every single boundary I have as a healthcare professional.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, I will say, the universe did give me the funniest patient interaction this morning as a tiny treat.
Oh, please share, because I desperately need the serotonin after the clinical nightmare I endured today.
Okay, picture this. I have an older gentleman in the chair, incredibly sweet, late 70s.
Ah.
I am right in the middle of his exam, doing a full quadrant check on his crowns. He looks up at me, completely deadpan, with the suction tube literally hanging out of his mouth, and goes, "Doc, if I stop eating apples, will you go out of business?"
Oh my God, stop.
Lost it. I started crying laughing. I told him, "Sir, please keep eating the apples, maybe just incorporate some floss into the routine."
That is so cute.
It was just such a pure, innocent view of how the dental economy works.
See, that is delightful. That is the kind of interaction that reminds you why you went to dental school in the first place.
Exactly. What about you?
My day, however, was a psychological endurance test designed to see if I would abandon my medical license and just walk out the back door.
Oh no. Who was it?
I had a patient, a grown adult man, argue with me for 20 solid minutes about his treatment plan.
Not the WebMD patients.
Worse. He had massive decay, and he claimed that he watched a YouTube video by an uncredentialed wellness guru.
Oh, I know where this is going.
That said, cavities can be completely healed by swishing raw, unrefined coconut oil and chanting specific frequencies to the moon.
You have got to be kidding me. Please tell me you're exaggerating for comedic effect, babes.
I wish I possessed that level of imagination. I am sitting there holding his panoramic x-rays, literally tracing the massive infection in his molar.
The actual visible science.
Yes, explaining the bacterial infection happening in his skull. And he is passionately lecturing me on the holistic, anti-inflammatory power of coconut oil.
What did you even say?
I just went silent. I stared at the beige wall of the operatory, and there was a solid 5-minute window where my brain completely detached.
Your soul left your body, just like at the gym.
Precisely. I vividly envisioned leaving my practice, liquidating my assets, moving to Costa Rica, and opening a beachside smoothie shack.
Oh my God, a smoothie shack.
Just blending mangoes and pineapple. No insurance claims, no coconut oil debates, no arguing with people who think Google is a medical degree.
Just fresh fruit and the ocean breeze, bestie. That smoothie shack is my new Roman Empire. I will fund it.
Please do.
I will be your first and best customer.
Yeah.
But it's so fascinating how people will ignore hard scientific evidence right in front of their eyes because they just want to believe in a magical, easy fix.
It really is.
Which, ironically, brings me to my next absolute delusion of the week, which is the multivitamin complex.
The pinnacle of the wellness delusion. Let's unpack this.
Right. Like, I walk into the store and I buy these beautifully packaged, ridiculously expensive multivitamins with the absolute confidence of a wellness influencer.
Like you're going to change your whole life.
Exactly. I place the aesthetic glass bottle on my bathroom counter. I tell myself this is the turning point. I am optimizing my cellular health.
You are that girl now.
Yeah, I am. And then I completely forget their existence for 4 consecutive days.
4 days is the absolute minimum. Let's be real. They just sit there on the counter, silently judging you.
Mocking my lack of discipline. And then on the 5th day, the immense, crushing guilt sets in.
So what's your deeply unscientific solution?
I take 2 at once, sometimes 3.
As if you were somehow retroactively healing your body.
Yes,
What?
like I'm bending the laws of biochemistry and restoring cosmic balance to the universe by megadosing my vitamin B complex on a Thursday morning.
It's the exact same flawed logic as sleeping for 14 hours on a Saturday to quote-unquote catch up on a week of chronic insomnia.
Exactly. The human body does not operate on a rollover minute system.
It really doesn't. But we convince ourselves it does to alleviate the guilt. I frequently wonder if remembering to take your daily vitamins consistently is, like, the true ultimate sign of adulthood.
If that is the metric for adulthood, I am functioning at the level of a tired toddler, babes.
Honestly, same.
But babes, enough about our Monday madness, the workout blues, overpriced leggings, dental exhaustion, and multivitamin delusions.
We have business to attend to.
We really do. Let's get into Married at First Sight, where these couples are actively trying to build lifelong partnerships while we are out here just trying to survive leg day and remember our zinc supplements.
Snark Squad, strap in. Episode 10, titled Game On or Game Over, was an absolute masterclass in unhinged behavior.
It was so chaotic.
The weaponization of language and that kind of visceral secondhand awkwardness that makes you want to crawl underneath your sofa cushions.
I am already taking deep breaths to regulate my nervous system. Like, we have to start with the couple that is currently spiking my cortisol levels to dangerous heights.
You mean Nikki and Shawn?
Yes. We need to do a complete autopsy on Nikki and Shawn.
Dr. Shawn, just saying the title makes my eye twitch.
Let's start at the beginning of their segment, which honestly felt like a completely different show before the horror set in.
You really did.
Right? Like, Nikki orchestrates this gorgeous, romantic waterfront picnic. She even uses this adorable, self-deprecating humor, calling the setup a knick-knack.
Which was so charming.
It was. And you can see her actively, desperately trying to build a bridge. She is being so vulnerable.
She is trying so hard.
She tells Shawn she wants a best friend, she wants emotional safety, she wants to lay a solid foundation before rushing into the physical aspect.
And how does Shawn receive this emotional bid?
Oh, it makes me sick.
He takes that beautiful, vulnerable bid for connection, crumples it up, and turns the picnic into a high-pressure corporate performance review.
Yes, the corporate speak.
He immediately starts interrogating her about what it will take to get a yes on decision day. He lacks the fundamental capacity to just sit on a blanket and exist in a romantic moment.
He operates like a middle manager, demanding a quarterly projection on her romantic feelings.
It's a completely transactional view of human connection.
Completely. Nikki is trying to explain that physical intimacy requires emotional safety for her. She is laying out the exact instruction manual on how to win her heart.
And he's just ignoring it.
But the true horror, babes, the scene that literally requires a trigger warning, happens the very next morning.
The towel incident. I'm going to need specialized EMDR therapy to unsee the footage of this man.
I was physically shouting at my television screen. So Nikki is fully dressed. She's in her cute athleisure, drinking coffee, looking totally put together.
Right, she's having a normal morning.
And out of the bedroom emerges Shawn, dripping wet, wearing a gray bath towel.
And we must emphasize to the Snark Squad, this was not a luxurious, plush, spa-quality towel.
Not at all.
This was a standard, sad, thin, borderline, transparent gray towel. The optics alone were criminal.
They were offensive to my eyes. He stands in her personal space, dripping onto the floor, and has the unmitigated audacity to ask her for, and I'm quoting, this verbatim mutual masturbation.
I gagged.
Or release without intercourse.
While wearing a damn towel. At 10 o'clock in the morning.
It was so gross.
The sheer romance, the undeniable seduction. I am swooning, babes. Call a paramedic.
I recoiled so hard I nearly pulled a muscle. But, like, we really need to look past the grossness of the request and analyze the actual danger here.
The coercion.
Exactly, the coercive language he utilized. He didn't just ask for a favor. He framed this physical act as a wifely duty to fulfill her husband's needs.
That phrase, wifely duty.
He was essentially telling her, you hold the title of wife, therefore your purpose is to monitor my physical tension, and it is your contractual obligation to relieve it.
It is the complete objectification of his own spouse.
Yeah.
He operates like a deeply insecure 12-year-old boy who is trying to write a relationship book.
Yes.
He treats Nikki like a human stress ball. He views her entirely through the lens of utility, like what she can extract for him physically and immediately.
It's pathetic.
He's essentially standing there saying, I am backed up and you are my assigned relief valve. Deal with it.
It is genuinely horrifying. Like, as a woman, watching another woman have her physical boundaries aggressively pushed and questioned on national television, I felt a profound sense of horror for Nikki's safety.
Me too. It is textbook coercion.
It is. It is wearing someone down under the guise of marriage. But I have to pause and give Nikki an absolute standing ovation.
She was incredible.
Because she did not fawn. She did not freeze. She stood her ground, looked at this dripping man, and firmly said, "No, you can take care of that yourself."
And his response to her boundary was so telling. He had the nerve to whine that he doesn't want to do it solo anymore.
Like a toddler.
He wants the real thing. Well, sir, the real thing finds you repulsive right now.
Literally repulsive.
If my husband came out of the bathroom in a sad gray towel and delivered a monologue about my wifely duties regarding his release, I would pack my bags with such speed that the friction would start a fire.
Oh, there would be a cartoon smoke trail in the hallway?
Exactly. But the psychological manipulation escalates immediately.
It does.
Because later on, Shawn realizes he overstepped, so he decides to orchestrate a date to get back in her good graces.
Ugh, yes. And we transition from the horror of the towel to the deeply uncomfortable, you don't got no sense date.
Which, by the way, sounds like a direct insult. You don't got no sense is exactly what I am screaming at my television whenever Shawn opens his mouth.
Truly. So for this date, he blindfolds Nikki, puts her in a red silk robe, and starts feeding her strawberries and whipped cream.
And brushing a feather over her skin.
Now, on the surface, this looks like an attempt at romance. And Nikki is actually being a phenomenal sport. She's leaning into the sensory play.
She's trying so hard to be present.
But because we, the audience, know Shawn's true underlying motives, because we just saw him demanding a release hours prior, this entire sensory date feels incredibly dark.
Because it is entirely transactional. It's not about bringing her pleasure, it's about a return on investment.
Exactly.
In Shawn's mind, he is calculating an exchange rate. Like, if I feed her one chocolate-covered strawberry and brush her arm with a feather for 3 minutes, that equals one physical act.
He completely ruins the genuine romance of sensory play, because he's just sitting there waiting for the timer to ding so he can cash in his nice guy chips.
Exactly. And the tension snaps during the gaslighting argument that follows.
We need to dissect this heavily, because the gaslighting in this scene was masterclass level manipulation.
It was terrifying.
They sit down, and Nikki, showing incredible emotional maturity, calmly communicates that his comment about wifely duties made her feel pressured and objectified.
She states her reality so clearly.
And how does our dear Dr. Shawn respond? He doesn't apologize. He doesn't seek to understand.
He deploys Darvo.
Let's break that down for the Snark squad, because it is so important.
So Darvo is a psychological manipulation tactic. It stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, and Shawn executes it with military precision.
The moment she brings it up, he hits step one, deny. He looks her dead in the eyes and says, "I never said that. I never, ever, ever, ever said that."
And I am sitting on my couch screaming because the production cameras are literally mounted to the ceiling above his head.
We all heard the audio.
And the producers, being the messy geniuses they are, rolled the tape back right then and there to prove him wrong.
I love the editors for that.
But after he denies it, he moves to step 2 and 3, attack and reverse victim offender.
Yes. He calls her ridiculous. He accuses her of creating a TV moment out of thin air.
He tries to paint a narrative that she is a hysterical, dramatic woman who is blowing his innocent behavior completely out of proportion.
It is designed to create complete cognitive dissonance in the victim. Like when someone deploys Darvo, it spikes your cortisol levels and creates so much confusion that you stop defending your original boundary.
And you have to pivot to defending your own sanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a terrifyingly effective way to evade accountability. And then in his confessional, Shawn has the audacity to look at the camera and say, "Ain't nobody sweating you."
Excuse me, sir, you were literally dripping tap water onto her floor, begging for a release.
You are profusely sweating her.
You are dehydrated from sweating her. He is desperate to play the victim. He wants the audience to view him as the patient, loving, nice guy who is being cruelly rejected.
But the mask completely slipped off.
It shattered.
It did.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
from a man attempting to control the narrative through psychological manipulation, we have a very natural transition to a woman who uses anger and ice to control her entire environment.
Oh boy. Here we go.
We need to seamlessly move into the disaster that was Courtney's 49th birthday party.
Ah, yes, the mafia-themed birthday party at Felipe's restaurant. The transition from Shawn's quiet, coercive boundary pushing to the loud, explosive mess of Devon's drunken intervention is just spectacular reality TV pacing.
Let's set the psychological stage here. It is Courtney's birthday. She is already vibrating with resentment because of a therapy session they had earlier.
Which we will absolutely get into.
But she orchestrates the seating arrangement at this long dinner table with the specific calculated intention of icing her husband out.
She literally instructs Michelle and Caitlyn to sit on either side of her, physically blocking Nick from sitting near his own wife.
On her birthday.
It is middle school mean girl behavior.
It is. Nick walks in holding a beautiful bouquet of flowers, a birthday cake, and a card.
Yeah.
He is doing exactly what a supportive husband is supposed to do.
And Courtney treats his arrival like a personal insult. She projects absolute freezing ice. She practically tosses him a peanut across the table and refuses to engage.
It was so painful to watch Nick. He's just standing there, awkwardly holding this cake, looking around the room, trying to calculate where he is legally allowed to exist in her orbit without setting her off.
And into this incredibly tense, volatile environment enters the true chaos agent of the season.
Devon.
Drunken Knight Devon, bless his chaotic heart.
He was clearly tipsy off Felipe's free vodka pours, and he looks at this situation, misreads every single social cue in the room, and decides that this exact moment is the time to intervene.
At her birthday party, in front of the entire cast.
He leans across the table, slurring slightly, and starts confronting Courtney. He tells her she is mistreating Nick. He demands that she look him in the eye when he's talking to her.
And he tries to publicly shame her into being a better wife.
Which is just wild.
Devon is like a golden retriever that has a really bad owner and zero situational awareness. He means well. His core drive is loyalty to his friend Nick.
Right.
And he wants everyone to just get along and be happy. But he possesses zero emotional intelligence in high-stakes situations.
And Courtney just absolutely detonates. I mean, we know she has a mean streak, but this was nuclear.
She exploded.
She screams at Devon that she doesn't need this on her birthday, which, okay, fair boundary to set. But then she turns her wrath on Nick. She calls her own husband a motherfucker in front of everyone because he didn't instantly jump up and defend her against Devon.
And then she screams across the restaurant at Caitlyn, "Come get your boy." Like, Devon is an off-leash, misbehaving toddler.
The venom in Courtney's voice is chilling, babes. She doesn't just dislike Nick, she deeply resents his existence.
She is an avoidant attachment nightmare. She is actively self-sabotaging, pouring gasoline on her own marriage.
And burning everything down around her so she doesn't have to face true intimacy.
Exactly. And then poor Caitlyn, who is just trying to eat her pasta, is completely confused, has no idea what the inciting incident was, and is suddenly thrust into the middle of a screaming match.
Which directly leads to the massive fallout back at Devon and Caitlyn's apartment.
Oh, that apartment scene was rough.
They get home. Devon is very clearly intoxicated. He is literally leaning against the door frame to maintain his balance, and he tries to go in for a hug with Caitlyn.
Because he is seeking comfort and validation, he feels rejected, and he feels like his wife didn't have his back at the party.
And Caitlyn builds a brick wall instantly. She shuts it down with extreme prejudice.
She refuses the hug, physically backs away, calls him a 5-year-old, and delivers one of the most brutal, emasculating lines of the season.
What was it?
She says, "I will never trust you as a leader in my life when you act like this."
It was incredibly harsh. But you can also see the sheer bone-deep exhaustion in her eyes.
Yeah. The next day, they are in the car. They are both hungover. The energy is tense, and Devon issues a very sincere apology.
And this is the moment Caitlyn reveals the underlying cause of her reaction. She opens up about her past trauma.
She explains that she has been in highly toxic relationships where substance abuse and erratic, drunken behavior were major factors.
So seeing Devon that drunk, slurring his words and leaning on doors, wasn't just annoying for her. It was a massive neurological trigger for her trauma.
And listen, I want to be very careful here. I completely understand, respect, and validate Caitlyn's triggers. That trauma is real, and it makes total sense why her central nervous system went into a fight-or-flight response.
But,
and you know I have a massive but coming here, I also think Caitlyn is using this as a convenient shield.
oh, interesting. Say more.
I think she flat out does not like Devon, and she uses these moments of his incompetence to justify her disdain and keep him at arm's length.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Devon is deeply flawed. He cannot read a room to save his life, and he clearly drinks too much to cope with the stress of the cameras. But comparing this goofy, misguided intervention to a toxic, abusive, substance-abusing ex feels a bit like she is weaponizing her trauma to look for an easy exit strategy.
Ooh, I'm going to have to push back on you hard right there, Bestie.
Bring it.
I think that is incredibly unfair to Caitlyn. You cannot logic your way out of a trauma trigger.
I know, but
When your nervous system is hijacked by a sensory memory, like the smell of alcohol or the slurred speech of a partner, your brain doesn't stop to analyze, oh, Devon means well, he's just a goofy golden retriever.
that's true.
Your brain screams danger.
Hmm.
I feel deeply for her. And honestly, the fact that she seems to be aligning herself with Courtney's toxic mean girl vibe worries me far more.
That is a fair point. The alliance with Courtney is troubling.
Devon was absolutely wrong to intervene, but he did it out of misguided loyalty. Courtney, on the other hand, is just cruel to her core.
Well, speaking of Courtney's cruelty, we have to backtrack to their therapy session with Dr. Lisa because it explains why she was so hostile at the birthday party.
Yes, the therapy session.
Courtney finally found a tangible excuse for why she hates Nick, and she is clinging to it like a life raft in a hurricane.
The performative vulnerability. She uses the group dinner from the previous week as her ultimate smoking gun.
Which is so ridiculous.
For context, for the Snark Squad, at that dinner, the experts asked everyone to share a vulnerable truth bomb. And Nick completely blanked.
He just smiled, said he's a goofy guy, and admitted he isn't great at being deep on command.
And Courtney's now weaponizing this. She is acting like this was the ultimate betrayal of her soul. She tells the therapist, he didn't open up, he left me hanging, I was being so vulnerable, and he abandoned me emotionally.
Which is incredibly rich, considering the source. This is coming from a woman who has spent the entirety of the season with her arms crossed, refusing to be vulnerable, refusing to share her past, and actively shutting Nick down with eye rolls.
Every single time he attempts to connect with her.
Suddenly, because he fumbled one prompt at a dinner party, she is the poster child for deep emotional intimacy. Please? It is entirely performative.
She desperately needed a concrete reason to hate him that wasn't just, I find his personality repulsive. She needed to make him the bad guy to protect her own ego.
It is a complete show for the experts. She wants to look like the wounded party.
And the most painful part is the resolution of that therapy session. They agreed to this so-called reset, and Courtney offers him a kiss to seal the deal.
Let me tell you, it was the most painfully forced, medically sterile, cringe-worthy dry peck I have ever witnessed on television.
There was negative chemistry. It looked like two estranged cousins being forced to hug at a tense Thanksgiving dinner.
It wasn't a kiss, it was a hostage situation. Nick's eyes were screaming for help. He is just nodding along, heavily editing his own personality, and trying to survive the remaining weeks until decision day.
He knows he is on a sinking ship. He's just trying to find a lifeboat that doesn't make him look like the villain on social media.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take a deep breath, cleanse our mental palates, and move from that specific brand of avoidant toxicity to a completely different flavor of disaster.
I am ready. Who's next?
We need to talk about Marissa and Adam and the psychology of the ick.
Yes, Adam. The human embodiment of a protein shaker bottle.
So Coach Paul correctly identified that these two are using humor as a shield. They are constantly giggling, keeping everything entirely surface level, and avoiding real connection.
So Coach Paul tasks them with having serious, profound conversations.
And Marissa takes this assignment seriously. She comes prepared with a list of 10 deep questions.
Yeah.
She sits Adam down and asks him, what is an assumption people make about you that is completely wrong?
And Adam, operating with all the unearned confidence of a mediocre man, looks at her and says, people wrongly assume I am surface level and that I only care about working out.
Which is so funny.
And I want to point out, he delivers this monologue about his hidden depths while wearing a shirt so incredibly tight it looked like it was painted on, having just spent 5 minutes talking about his gym routine.
The lack of self-awareness is staggering. But it gets worse.
It always gets worse with Adam.
Because right after he boldly claims he possesses intellectual and emotional depth, he flips the script. He asks Marissa for her question. And what does he ask?
He asks her what her craziest sexual fantasy is, immediately pivots to talking about how much he wants to have sex on a jet ski.
A jet ski.
And then casually asks her if she would be open to having a threesome.
The whiplash. And when Marissa, clearly taken aback, asks him if this hypothetical threesome would involve another guy or a girl. He laughs and says, let's just call Felipe.
Which, honestly, might be the single most self-aware, accurate statement Adam has made all season. Felipe would absolutely be down.
Right, but it proves the exact point. Everything everyone assumes about Adam is 100% correct. He is surface level. He possesses the emotional depth of a puddle in a strip mall parking lot.
It is maddening to watch her try to pull substance out of him, but the scene that truly sent me over the edge was the shopping trip.
Oh, the shopping trip.
They decide to go clothes shopping together. In Adam's style choices, it was a visual assault. The hideous patterned shirts, the incredibly strange, deformed socks he was trying on. Does he have structurally abnormal toes?
What is the anatomical issue happening inside his shoes?
He dresses exactly like a guy who peaked during Rush Week at his fraternity in 2014 and fundamentally refuses to update his aesthetic.
He thinks a loud shirt equates to having a personality. But the horrific fashion isn't even the core issue here. The core issue is the negging.
We need to explain this to the listeners because it was insidious.
Yes, negging is a manipulation tactic born out of toxic pickup artist culture.
It involves making a backhanded compliment or a subtle insult to undermine a woman's self-confidence, making her feel insecure so she seeks the man's approval.
And out of nowhere, while Marissa is trying on a genuinely cute, flattering dress, Adam looks at her and casually tells her she needs a push-up bra.
My jaw physically unhinged. I was furious. He insulted her body on camera, completely unprovoked.
And how does Marissa react? What does she do?
She laughs.
She lets out this nervous, high-pitched giggle and brushes it off in person. But then, thank the reality TV gods, she gets into her solo confessional, drops the smile, and admits that she is catching the ick in real time.
Thank God. She is finally slowly seeing him for the unserious, negging man-child he truly is.
I will shout this theory from the rooftops until I lose my voice. Adam wants a Sims wife.
Yes, the Sims wife theory.
He doesn't want an autonomous human partner. He wants a character he can plug into his life, play with, dress up in outfits he chooses, and entirely control.
He recognizes that Marissa is intelligent, she is financially stable, she owns property, and he is deeply, fundamentally threatened by her independence and success.
Because he cannot mash her on a financial or intellectual level, his only currency is to use these stupid negging jokes to chip away at her self-esteem.
To tear down her confidence and keep her constantly off balance, he doesn't want an equal. He wants an accessory who will laugh at his terrible jokes and make him feel like a big, strong man.
Exactly. You nailed the psychology of it. It's a power play born of profound insecurity. And this is why I am pleading, begging, manifesting through my television screen for Marissa to stop the nervous giggling.
Stop giggling, Marissa.
Stop validating this toxic behavior. Actually confront his immaturity to his face. I know she's using the giggle as a trauma response, a fawn response to avoid conflict and keep the peace, but by laughing, she is just enabling him to keep treating her like a punchline.
She has to shut the giggle down. The giggle is a green light for his disrespect. It's time to be serious, Marissa. And speaking of women who are completely ignoring massive, flashing crimson red flags because of their own ingrained psychological patterns.
He must check in on Tori and Felipe.
Oh, Tori. Sweet, pure, deeply delusional, people-pleasing Tori.
She organizes a meetup with her very diverse, clearly very protective group of friends. They sit down over what appears to be heavily burnt pizza. I mean, the crust was pure carbon.
But honestly, the charred pizza is the absolute least of her problems right now.
It really is. So she starts dropping these massive truth bombs on her friends. First, she casually reveals that Felipe is a staunch atheist.
Now, for the Snark squad who might need a refresher, Tori is incredibly devoutly religious. Before signing up for this show, her faith was a non-negotiable core pillar of her identity.
She would literally swipe left on dating apps if a man did not explicitly state he was an active Christian. It was her primary filter for a partner.
And her friends immediately and rightly call her out on this massive sudden shift in her core standards. They're looking at her like, who are you and what have you done with Tori?
But then she drops the real bombshell. The nuclear warhead of the episode.
The cheating amnesia.
I am still trying to wrap my brain around the sheer, unadulterated audacity of this lie. It requires a level of sociopathy I can barely comprehend.
Tori tells her friends that Felipe confessed to cheating on his previous long-term girlfriend. Okay, bad, but people make mistakes. But his excuse, his explanation for why he hid it.
He claimed that he felt so deeply ashamed of the infidelity that his brain literally blocked the memory out.
He claimed he developed selective amnesia and entirely forgot that he cheated for years and only suddenly remembered the event and admitted it when the ex-girlfriend found out through a mutual friend.
It is the most pathetic, manipulative, gaslighting excuse I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm so sorry I slept with someone else, babe. I just felt so bad about it that my hippocampus malfunctioned and deleted the file.
How unbelievably dumb does he think Tori is to swallow that narrative?
Her friends' reactions were cinematic gold, especially her friend Allison. Allison was staring at Tori with utter, unadulterated horror.
You could see the wheels turning in Allison's head, calculating how fast she could orchestrate an extraction mission.
Allison immediately calls out the logical fallacy of his nonsense, pointing out the obvious. He was clearly ashamed enough to hide the cheating, but conveniently not ashamed enough to actually confess until he was cornered with evidence.
I want to hire Allison as my personal life coach and financial advisor. She is the only person on this screen seeing reality clearly.
Allison is the absolute MVP. She is begging Tori to wake up from this cognitive dissonance. And while Tori is sitting there at the pizza place, folding herself into mental pretzels, trying to rationalize this behavior.
Telling her friends she is choosing to give him 100% trust.
Right. The producers cut to Felipe in his solo confessional. And what does this man say? What does he reveal to the cameras?
He casually admits that he misses the single life. He misses the novelty of new women.
He is openly laying the psychological groundwork for his exit strategy. He is telling the audience, directly to the lens, that he's not built for monogamy and he has no intention of staying married.
And the tragedy here is Tori. Her deep-rooted people-pleasing nature, her fear of failure, is forcing her to compromise her deepest core values, her faith, her standards for honesty, her expectation of fidelity, just to maintain the title of wife to a man who actively wants to be single.
She is experiencing textbook sunk cost fallacy. It genuinely breaks my heart. She is folding herself into origami just to fit into the tiny dark corners of his life, and he is going to absolutely shatter her heart.
She needs to listen to Allison, pack a bag, and run.
Okay, from one emotionally complex, manipulative mess to another, let's pivot to Bella Jolie and Mecca and the absolute ethical nightmare of therapy cosplay happening in their relationship.
Grab your notebooks and a strong drink, babes, because Coach Paul decided to bypass his role as a relationship guide and play real, unlicensed trauma therapist on reality television this week.
Let's contextualize this. Following the disastrous group dinner where Michelle and Paul openly called Mecca's behavior performative, Mecca has completely shut down.
His walls are up. He has withdrawn into his shell like a turtle.
And Belle is trying so hard to hold the dynamic together, but you can see the exhaustion setting in. She is frustrated, and as she bluntly stated to the camera, she isn't getting any physical intimacy while he's sulking in the corner.
Which, honestly, I respect Belle for being vocal about her needs. But they sit down for a mediation session with Paul. And Paul does something we rarely see from reality TV experts.
He actually apologizes to Mecca.
He admits that his tactic at the dinner party was designed to shake Mecca out of his comfort zone. But he apologizes for making Mecca feel ambushed and attacked in a group setting.
And that apology, that moment of validation, acts as a key. It opens the floodgates. Mecca gets incredibly beautifully vulnerable.
He opens up about the deep, lingering wounds of his childhood trauma. He talks about his biological mother abandoning the family and the severe emotional abuse he suffered at the hands of his father.
He describes the visceral jealousy he felt as a child, watching his friends interact with loving mothers, and how that trauma crystallized into a core, subconscious belief that he is fundamentally unworthy of being loved.
It was a very real, incredibly raw moment of television, and it is the skeleton key that explains every single facet of his behavior.
It really is.
Let's use an analogy here. Mecca's trauma response is acting like a hyperactive psychological immune system.
Ooh, I love this analogy.
When you grow up experiencing profound abandonment from the people who are biologically wired to protect you, intimacy stops feeling safe. Intimacy feels like mortal danger. So whenever Belle gets close or the experts push him to be real, his brain perceives that vulnerability as a deadly virus. His psychological immune system sends out white blood cells in the form of defensiveness, performative jokes, and shutting down to attack the intimacy and keep him safe from being abandoned again.
That is a phenomenal way to explain it. His brain is trying to protect him from a threat that isn't actually there anymore. It made me profoundly emotional for him.
But then the session takes a very dark, inappropriate turn.
Paul takes it a massive step too far. He correctly identifies that Mecca is self-sabotaging out of fear. But then, Paul physically turns to Belle, looks her in the eye, and wildly oversteps by telling her, "I think you were in love with Mecca."
Which is an insane, unethical leap. Belle had explicitly stated multiple times that she isn't there yet. She cares for him, she has physical chemistry with him, but she is very clearly not in love.
And Paul is projecting this romantic cinematic narrative onto her, effectively pressuring her to assume the role of the emotional savior in this highly volatile dynamic.
That is exactly my greatest fear for this couple. I deeply worry that Belle is sugarcoating Mecca's massive, fortified emotional walls just to maintain the physical chemistry they share.
Paul is pushing her to act like Captain Save-A-Horse. He is asking her to take on the agonizing burden of healing all of Mecca's childhood trauma.
Belle already has 3 jobs in the real world, and now the experts are assigning her the full-time, unpaid internship of being Mecca's emotional support system.
Tasking her with replacing the unconditional love his parents failed to give him.
It is entirely unfair and borderline exploitative of Belle. An expert should never be pushing a female contestant to declare love prematurely just to coax a traumatized man out of his defensive shell.
Mecca doesn't need a wife right now. Mecca needs actual, intensive, off-camera therapy to process the abuse from his father. Belle cannot simultaneously be his licensed therapist and his romantic partner.
It is a guaranteed recipe for severe caregiver burnout and deep resentment.
I am rooting for them as individuals. I really am. Because the core potential for a beautiful connection is there. But the foundation they are building on is made of sand.
Now let's wrap up the recap portion with the couple that is quietly, boringly succeeding while everyone else's apartments are actively engulfed in flames.
Michelle and Cameron.
Ah, the Toyota Camry of marriages.
Mm-hmm.
They are reliable, they have a 5-star safety rating, they get excellent gas mileage, and they provide absolutely zero thrill or adrenaline.
They are so delightfully unproblematic. This week, Cameron visits Michelle's self-renovated condo, and it is stunning.
We find out she did the cabinet installations herself. She paints these incredible, intricate Bob Ross-level landscapes that are hanging on the wall.
She is highly talented, she makes excellent money, and she has tangible appreciating assets.
And you can see the exact moment Cameron has a paradigm shift. He is looking around at the granite countertops and the original art, and he realizes, oh wow, she has significantly more money, more assets, and more raw talent than I do.
I am actively punching above my weight class.
Yes. And instead of getting insecure, he actually admits to the camera that he has to bring his absolute A game so he doesn't fumble this incredible woman.
Which is the exact, correct, emotionally mature response. Step it up, Cameron. Match your energy.
But it wasn't an entirely smooth visit. Michelle's roommate, Tam, was present for this tour, and Tam decides to drop a very subtle, slightly terrifying warning to Cameron.
Whoa, the warning.
He says casually, hey, just so you know, Michelle actually has a really fiery temper, and he references that story Michelle told a few weeks ago about calling an ex-boyfriend 25 times in a row when he wouldn't answer his phone.
Which, let's be clinically honest, is unhinged behavior. A double text is annoying. 25 missed calls is a threat to someone's safety.
It is not a conversation. It is a digital hostage situation.
So we know the crazy's in there somewhere, just lying completely dormant under the happy little Bob Ross trees. But for now, they are the only couple not actively trying to psychologically destroy each other. So we have no choice but to stand.
Okay, Snark Squad, that was an incredibly heavy, psychologically dense recap. Let's lighten the mood and get into our segments.
Segment 1, the marriage report card. We are strictly grading each couple on communication, chemistry, effort, emotional maturity, and long-term potential. Where do you want to start?
I have my red grading pen ready, and I am starting with the disaster class, Shawn and Nikki. I am giving Shawn a hard, unforgiving, permanent F in emotional maturity.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming out of a bathroom in a damp towel and demanding a wifely duty release is the behavior of a deeply unserious, manipulative man. Nikki, however, gets a solid B for communication, for clearly stating and defending her boundaries against his Darvu tactics.
Totally fair.
But overall, long-term potential, F-. This union is a hazard to her health.
I am in complete agreement. Okay, let's evaluate Courtney and Nick. I am giving Courtney an F in effort and an F in communication.
Yeah.
Orchestrating a birthday party specifically to ice out your husband is just cruel, avoidant behavior. Nick gets an A for effort for bringing the cake, but I am giving him a C for emotional maturity because his refusal to stand up for himself and set a boundary is enabling her abuse. Chemistry, absolute 0. Long-term potential, F.
Moving on to the negging capital of the world, Marissa and Adam. Adam gets a D- in effort for his absolute Sims wife control freak behavior. Buying your wife ugly clothes and insulting her body is not effort. It is psychological sabotage.
It's gross.
Marissa gets a C in communication because she desperately needs to stop giggling as a fawn response and start speaking her truth. Chemistry is weirdly a C, but long-term potential is a solid D. The minute her nervous system regulates and she stops laughing, she is going to file for divorce.
Tori and Felipe. I am giving Felipe an F in communication for conveniently forgetting he cheated on his ex for multiple years. That's a failing grade in basic human honesty.
Failing grade.
Tori gets a D in emotional maturity for people-pleasing her way through massive neon red flags to protect a fantasy. Chemistry seems okay, maybe a B, but long-term potential. Only if she is willing to be completely miserable and abandon her faith. So I give it a D.
Mecca and Bella Jolie. I'll give them an A in chemistry. They clearly have that visceral physical connection. But Mecca gets a D in emotional maturity. Shutting down your communication for days because your psychological immune system perceived a threat is incredibly tough to build a marriage on.
Belle gets an A for effort for trying to bridge the gap. Long-term potential. I'll give it a tentative, highly conditional C+. It entirely depends on whether Mecca seeks actual professional psychiatric help.
And finally, our reliable Toyota Camry, Michelle and Cameron. I'm giving them straight A's across the board. The communication is solid, the effort is visible, and Cameron's secure attachment is allowing him to step up rather than tear her down.
Long-term potential is an A. I genuinely think they're going to make it to the finish line, provided those 25 missed calls were made a thing of the past.
Very fair grades. Now let's slide right into segment 2, Couples Therapy Corner.
If these people were our actual friends, sitting at the bar with us right now drinking our Prosecco mocktails, what is the brutally honest, unfiltered advice we are giving them? Let's start with Nikki and Shawn.
The biggest issue here is blatant coercion and a fundamental lack of respect for female boundaries. The conversation they need immediately is Nikki looking Shawn dead in the eye and saying, "Pack your bags, I am contacting production, and we are done."
One thing they are doing surprisingly well, the waterfront picnic aesthetic was cute, I suppose. My brutally honest advice, Nikki, you are in danger. Run fast, run far, and block his number on every platform.
Courtney and Nick, biggest issue. Courtney actively despises him and uses reactive abuse to push him away. The conversation they need is Nick finally finding his spine and saying, "I am done being your emotional punching bag to soothe your avoidant attachment. I am leaving."
Surprisingly well. They somehow survived that therapy session without someone physically flipping a coffee table. My advice. Courtney, you need to remain single for the next decade and figure out why you violently push away love. Nick, find a crumb of self-respect and walk out that door.
Marissa and Adam. Biggest issue, severe male insecurity manifesting as negging. The conversation they need is Marissa saying, "I am a successful adult woman, not a Sims character you can control. Stop insulting my body and grow up."
Doing well. I guess they try on terrible clothes well together. My advice, Marissa, stop the trauma giggling. Confront him. Adam, stop operating like an insecure 14-year-old boy in a locker room.
Tori and Felipe, biggest issue. He is a walking, talking lie, and she is terrified to face the reality of who she married. Conversation needed. Tori needs to state, "I cannot and will not trust a man who claims to have cheating amnesia."
Doing well. Eating carbonized pizza together without chipping a tooth. My advice.
Oh.
Tori, listen to Allison. Allison is the prophet of truth. Heed her warnings.
Belle and Mecca, biggest issue. Mecca's profoundly unhealed childhood trauma colliding with Belle's savior complex. Conversation needed. Belle needs to say, "I will support you as a partner, but I cannot and will not be your therapist."
Doing well. They play a genuinely competitive game of basketball together. My advice. Mecca, call a licensed clinical professional tomorrow morning. Belle, guard your own peace and do not declare love just to fix a broken man.
Michelle and Cameron. Biggest issue. Honestly, they don't have a massive one yet. Maybe just the looming, dormant threat of her aggressive temper. Conversation needed. Let's establish a protocol for communication before one of us gets mad and dials the phone 25 times.
Doing well. Basically functioning like normal adults. Advice. Keep driving that Camry down the middle of the lane at exactly the speed limit, kids.
So true. Okay, segment 3. Red flag, green flag, or just tired? I'm going to throw out a specific moment from the show and we have to categorize it. First up, Shawn's wifely duties comment while standing in the damp towel.
Screaming, flashing, deafening siren red flag. There is absolutely no excuse, context, or editing trick that makes that okay. It is coercive, it is manipulative, and it is a massive indicator of how he views women as property. Nuclear red flag.
I am with you 1,000,000%. Okay, next up, Devon's drunken intervention at Courtney's birthday party.
I am going to say, just tired, exhausted. Listen, he obviously shouldn't have done it. It was terrible timing, and he was way too intoxicated. But it came from a pure place of being exhausted by Courtney's relentless mean girl behavior and trying to loyally stick up for his friend who was being abused. It was incredibly messy, but the intent was not malicious.
I have to stop you right there. Absolutely not. I vehemently disagree. A drunk intervention at a spouse's birthday party is a massive structural red flag. It is not a tired mistake. That is complete boundary bulldozing disguised as loyalty. If you cannot regulate your alcohol intake and your emotions in a public setting, that is a glaring indicator of how you will handle real marital conflict behind closed doors. Caitlyn was right to shut it down.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on Devon's underlying psychology, but I see your point about the public execution of it.
Fair enough. Next. Cameron realizing Michelle has more money and assets and actively deciding he has to step up his game to keep her.
Huge green flag. This is the epitome of secure attachment. A vast majority of insecure men like Adam is doing to Marissa would have immediately gotten defensive, felt emasculated, and tried to tear her down to their level. But Cameron saw her massive success, admired it, and decided to elevate his own behavior to meet her standard. That is masculine energy used correctly to build a partnership. Green flag.
Love that analysis. Finally. Felipe claiming he magically forgot he cheated on his ex for years due to shame.
Neon flashing radioactive red flag. It is a direct insult to the intelligence of the audience and to Tori. He didn't forget a traumatic betrayal. He just didn't care enough about his partner's autonomy to tell the truth until he was trapped. Run, Tori, run.
Preach. Okay, final segment before we wrap up this marathon of human psychology. Decision Day delusions. We are only 3 weeks out from the finale. Let's lock in our predictions. Who has the best chance of making it?
Cameron and Michelle, without a shadow of a doubt. The Camry will cross the finish line safely, and they will probably go buy a joint timeshare to celebrate.
Completely agree. Okay, who is heading for absolute, undeniable disaster?
It's a dead tie between Shawn and Nikki and Courtney and Nick. Both of those marriages are actively engulfed in flames. They're just using different types of psychological accelerant.
I actually think Shawn and Nikki will end worse, purely because of the insidious gaslighting and Darvo tactics. At least Courtney is openly hostile. Shawn's trying to manipulate reality. Okay, biggest surprise relationship prediction.
Could Adam and Marissa somehow say yes on Decision Day out of pure, unadulterated delusion? Like, could she just nervous giggle her way right through the final vows? And could he just neg her into staying married, simply to avoid having a real adult conversation about their incompatibility?
Yeah.
It's terrifyingly possible.
That is dark, but you are completely right. The fawn response might carry her right into a legally binding yes. Okay, give me one completely ridiculous, unhinged prediction that somehow feels spiritually possible.
Oh, I have this entirely mapped out in my mind. On Decision Day, Courtney and Caitlyn dump their respective husbands. They look at each other, realize they are the only two people on Earth who truly understand and appreciate each other's specific brand of toxic, avoidant hostility. They couple up, leave the show, and move to an off-the-grid vegan commune in Sedona, Arizona, where they communicate strictly via aggressive eye contact and silent judgment of everyone else.
I am screaming. That is the most accurate psychological profile you have ever done. I can literally visualize the documentary about their commune. They would thrive there. No emotionally needy men to bother them, just pure, unadulterated disdain for the outside world. Brilliant.
It is the only logical, satisfying conclusion to their character arcs.
Well, Snark Squad, I am emotionally and intellectually exhausted. Analyzing this level of manipulation took years off my life, but dissecting the psychology of it with you gives me life. We need to hear from you. Hit the comment section right now.
Yes, tell us. What was the absolute high and the absolute low of your Monday? Validate our misery, please.
And we need to settle the great activewear debate once and for all. Are you Team Lululemon secure attachment, 401k energy, or Team Elo avoidant attachment, Matcha Run energy? Defend your choices with logic.
And finally, the most pressing medical question of our time. Does anyone actually remember to take their multivitamins every single day? Or is that just a brilliantly marketed myth perpetuated by the global wellness industry to make us feel inadequate? Be brutally honest with us.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us, drinking mocktails, and surviving the chaos of reality television psychology. We could not do this without you. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on this week.
Oh, I love when you get philosophical. Lay it on us.
Looking at Tori staying with a liar and Marissa giggling at a man who insults her, it makes you wonder. Is the modern institution of marriage as a societal expectation actually forcing us to ignore our fundamental survival instincts? Are we so desperate for the title of spouse that we are willing to suppress the very neurological alarms designed to keep us safe from predators? Something to think about while you're swiping on the apps this week.
That is chilling and absolutely accurate. When the desire for a wedding ring overrides your fight or flight response, we have a societal problem.
Exactly. Keep your standards high and your boundaries higher.
Stay hopeful, stay hydrated, and we'll see you on the Snark side.